Good afternoon, students. Welcome to this session of Success at CA exams for Paper 3B Goods and Services Tax for January 2025 examination. I am CA Shefali Jain and I am your mentor for today's session. As the name suggests, Success at CA exams, these sessions will help you in improving your performance in the forthcoming examination. The objective of these sessions is to augment your preparation for the for January 2025 examination and to enhance your chances of success in the said examination. So we'll ensure that you do the right things which should be done for the examination, and in fact all the faculty members who are taking these sessions are telling you those things which you have to keep in mind while preparing for said examination, as well as what are the right things or do's and don'ts you have to keep in mind while appearing for the examination. Before that, I will tell you the Zoom ID which you have through which you can join through Zoom also. It's 891212 75748. So this is the Zoom ID through which you can log in through Zoom also, and you can ask your queries during the session. So in today's session, our focus will be basically on what are the things you have to keep in mind while preparing for the said examination, because still you have 35, at least 35 more days for the examination. January exams will start from 11th of January 2025. Today we are on 3rd of December. So you have at least 35 days with you to prepare for the said examination. And we want you to make best out of it or utilize them to the best. And then in the second session, second BoS for this Success at CA exam session, we'll be telling you what are the points you need to keep in mind during the examination. And if time permits, today we'll take some of the errors, commonly committed errors by the students, so that you do not commit those errors. We will help you in understanding the memory techniques for retaining the concepts, because this is the time when you are preparing for the examination. So these techniques will help you in retaining the concepts which you are doing at this time for the examination, to help you in improving your memory. So there are specific techniques for that, how to understand the difficult topics, and moreover how to stay motivated throughout the preparation time, because during this period there would be a time when you might feel low, when you might feel that you will not be able to succeed, will not be able to perform as per your expectations, or you will not be able to perform as per the requirement of the examination. Whatever standard of preparation is required, you are not prepared up to that level. Such type of low periods, or the periods where you will feel demotivated, that time might come. Then how do you have to stay motivated during that period? That is also very important. So in this session, the focus will be on how to augment your preparation. Now, first is how to stay motivated. Now, for that, what is important is that you should know what is your purpose for the said examinations, because, or what is the purpose you want to achieve by succeeding in this examination. You want to become a chartered accountant, and that is why you are pursuing these examination. So first and foremost thing is you should visualize that you have become a chartered accountant and you are getting your degree in the convocation, or you are actually being you have successfully qualified the examination, and then the proud which your parents will feel on you, the kind of recognition you will get in the society, and the way you will be fulfilling your dreams in monetary as well as non-monetary terms. So that will help you keep going, that whatever I am doing today, whatever I am sacrificing today for the examination, or for the at the preparation time, or during all this period of your uh, you know preparation training, whatever you are foregoing from the luxuries of life, or the small things, festivals are there, and still you are preparing for the examination, you are working on in your office. So these things, your ultimate objective helps you keep going, that this is something I'm going to achieve once I become a chartered accountant. So whatever sacrifices I'm making today, they are going to repay me tomorrow, and that helps you in achieving your target. So visualize your success each day, that yes, you have become a chartered accountant, your parents are proud of you, and that will help you in keep in moving towards your goal. Then, what you can do is you can have positive affirmations each day. What type of positive affirmations? You keep on repeating that I will succeed in the examination. I can do it. I believe in myself. Or I will succeed in CA examination. I will succeed in January 2025 examination. My parents will be proud of me. Any kind of affirmations which motivate you, you can frame on your own and you can repeat them every morning once you get up. Repeat these affirmations so that it help you in it motivates you throughout the day. It keeps you motivated throughout the day. And plus some motivational sticky notes or motivational quotes you can keep on your study table or on the wall of your room where you study, so that whenever you feel a bit demotivated, you can go through them and then it motivates you, it cheers you, or it keeps you focused towards your target. So some of the positive notes quotes are: if you want to shine like a sun, first burn like a sun. This is a quote by our former president APJ Abdul Kalam, and he was an educator, so he had a great inclination towards the students, and this is what he had quoted, that if you want to shine like a sun, then you have to burn like a sun. That is what I was talking earlier, that in case you want if you want to achieve success, you have to do sacrifices, and these sacrifices will pave way for the success. So this time, when you are at this time, if you are sacrificing something, if you are not indulging in any of the recreational activities and you are just focusing on your studies, this is actually going to repay you in the examination and in your success path. Another motivational quote is: success is the sum of small efforts repeated day in and day out. Now this is a quote by Robert Collier. He's a famous American author. He was a famous American author, in fact. So this focuses, or this stresses on the importance of making small efforts each day. If you are making small efforts each day and repeatedly you are making these efforts day in day out, you are involved or you are indulged in moving towards your goal, then it definitely will give you results one day. So don't give up at any point of time. Keep going. You need to believe that you can do it, and definitely you will believe you will do it. Only thing is that if you want to do it, you have to believe it first that you can do it. Then only you will be able to do that. So these techniques will help you in staying motivated throughout your preparation time and in the examination also, because those preparatory leaves which we get for the examination, in that time also we have to be motivated. We have prepared so well during this time, and then when it comes to the examination time, sometimes we get demotivated, or we again feel that we'll not be able to do it, or one of our examination, if some of the exam is not up to our expectations, we feel that we should not appear for other papers or remaining papers because we are not going to succeed. So that should not be there. Once you have chosen this path, you have to appear for all the papers, whatever or whatever is the you feel that chances of success are very less, then also you have to appear for all the papers which you have prepared for. So don't think about how you have performed or how you have answered the questions in a particular paper. You have to just keep going. You have to appear for all the papers once you are in the during the examination time. Then you can read the stories of the highly motivational people also. That also keeps you motivated, that in their low period, how they have actually performed or how they have actually kept themselves going. That also motivates you at time. So this is how you have to keep yourself motivated, and you have to utilize this entire period which you have till examination. So our focus at this point of time is how we can augment our preparation, how we can accelerate our preparation so that we can give our best during the examination time. We have 2 sessions of success at CA exams. So this session is primarily on preparation, because I believe most of you will be preparing at this point of time. Some of you would have started maybe few weeks back, or some of you might be almost on the verge of completion and you would be starting your revision. You can be in any stage of your preparation, but what you have to do is, in this 35 days period, you have to be at your best. That means you have to focus all your efforts, all your thoughts towards your examination. You don't have to think of anything else. Just think that you have to give your best during the remaining period. Don't think what will happen in examination. Will I be able to succeed? Now, when you have decided that you are going to appear for January examination, then no further thoughts should come in your mind that whether I will succeed or not. The you have what you have to focus is that how you are going to best utilize this remaining period of time of 35 days. This is what we are going to focus today. And at the end of the session, if time permits, I will take few commonly committed errors also. Otherwise, I will take it in the next session of the success at CA exams. Now, how to best utilize the time till examination? What strategy you can follow for that? First is create a study plan. Now, most of you who have completed your preparation, or who are on the verge of completion of your preparation, and who will be revising in few days, for them this is not applicable, because you have already completed your syllabus, you have already completed the content, and now you are revising it. So you are way ahead and you are in comfortable position, you can continue with your study plan. Otherwise, if you are in mid of your preparation, then whatever time is left with you, just once again go through the contents which are left for the examination, and whatever time is there with you. So calculate the daily study hours, compute an average daily study hours which you would be devoting, and whatever syllabus you have with you to cover, and accordingly divide your syllabus in the work, in the hours which you have, or the total hours which you have for the preparation with you, keeping aside some time for the revision for each subject. Not since time is very less, so it is possible that you will be finding it very difficult to cover the entire content. So for that, you have to prioritize the important topics. Now, how will you come to know that what are the important topics? For that, what you need to do is we will be telling you the section-wise weightage where it is there on this website, and what is the section-wise weightage for the GST paper. I will take you through that. The important topics which have a higher weightage in the section-wise weightage, you have to focus on them. So first you have to cover the topics which have a higher, or which have the highest weightage, in fact, I would say. First of all, cover those topics, and then accordingly you have to proceed. So the uh, preparation at this point of time has to be in accordance with the importance of the topics, and that importance can be determined from the section wise weightage. The section from which the examination questions are set in a higher number, or in a higher percentage, those sections have to be focused first of all, and then you have to focus on the other topics. Now, since you have very limited time available with you, then we have live virtual revisionary classes which have just been convened few days back. So they, in those revisionary classes, all the topics have been covered in a summarized manner. So what you can do is you can go through those classes, and then after watching those sessions, you can read the respective topic from the study material. So that way, that topic can be covered quickly, and try to cover all the examples, illustrations, test your knowledge questions. Then your chapter becomes complete. So once you have gone through the live virtual revisionary classes, you have gone through the study material, all the examples, illustrations, and then the uh, test your knowledge questions. Then you have to see the summary. We have given a summary at the end of each of the chapter in the form of let us recapitulate. Now that section has a summary of the entire chapter in the form of the pictorial representation, diagrams, flowcharts. I will take you through that summary also once we go to the study material. But that summary is very useful, and every student has their own preference or way of doing it. So you can add things which you feel that you want to revise on the day before examination. So in that summary you can add those points. Anything you want to add over and above that summary, you should make that summary complete or customized as per your requirement. That will become your notes or your revisionary material before the examination, because at this point of time we have to plan for the revision also, that how we are going to revise this subject in the during the preparatory leave before the examination. Because if you are not able to revise anything, any portion before the examination, that portion will you will not be able to recall during the examination, and that will go waste, which you are studying at this point of time. So everything which you are doing today, you have to make sure that you revise it before the examination day. Okay. So for that, your revisionary material should be ready, and you can use our let us recapitulate portion of the study material for the revision purpose. Next is the gain conceptual understanding. Now, when you are doing the concepts, when you are doing any chapter, you have to gain the conceptual understanding. For taxation papers, for law papers, it is very important to understand the provisions thoroughly so that you can apply those provisions when a scenario, a small scenario is given and you are being tested in a situation. So you should be thorough with the provision, you should be thorough with the intention or the provision which is given in that particular section or notification, circular, rule, whatever it is, you should be thorough with that. Now, at this point of time, generally a question comes from the students that do we need to remember these section numbers, rule numbers, notification, circulars? In fact, GST is a rule-based legislation. So we have number of circulars, notifications issued throughout the year, which makes it very bulky. And in fact, students generally find the legislation comparatively smaller than the notification circulars which have been issued. So numerous circulars, numerous notifications are issued during the year, and students want to know that they have whatever notification and circulars you have to read for the examination. They are given either in your study material, or the additional circulars and notifications issued after the study material are given in the form of the statutory update. But as regards their number is concerned, section numbers, rule numbers, I would suggest first focus on the provisions. If you are thorough with the provision, you have retained the provision, and during that process, if you are able to retain the section number or rule number, that is certainly good because that gives an edge to your answer. However, don't misquote the section number or rule number. So if you are very sure about it, then only quote it in the examination and focus more on understanding the provisions. At intermediate level, we expect the students to know the provision properly, to be able to apply them in situations or small scenarios. So your focus should be on gaining the conceptual understanding of the provisions rather than only mugging up these section numbers and rule numbers. You can retain section or rule numbers, but first priority or first focus should be on the conceptual understanding of the provision. Then comes the memorize the concepts and provisions. Now, this is also very important that you have to memorize them also. You know the provision, but when you have to reproduce it in your own words also, you're not able to do it because you have not memorized that. So that is also very important because unless you memorize it, you will not be able to reproduce it or apply it in the examination. So memorize the concepts, memorize the provisions which are given in the study material as well as the statutory update. And some of the memory techniques we'll be covering in this session so that it helps you in retaining till the examination day. Whatever you are doing at present, when during the examination, if you start revising it, or during the before examination, if you are revising it, or during examination, if you are using it for answering any question, you should be able to recall that. Next is summaries, which I have told you that during the preparation itself, your summaries should be ready so that you can revise the concepts and provisions day before examination. And now comes the regular revision. Now, once you have completed your entire syllabus, if possible, I would suggest you to go through the past year papers and at least go attempt one mock test paper of each subject. And because we are conducting two series of mock test papers, so it is always advisable that you should appear for both the series of the mock test papers under the exam-like conditions. If you can go to the nearest branch or center, then it is always preferable to do that. But in case you do not have that much time or it is not accessible to you, then you can appear for these mock test papers under the exam-like conditions at home also. Suggested answers will be published on the website, so you can compare your answers with them and locate the areas where you need to improve. These mock test papers will help you in assessing your preparation, first thing, and locating the areas where you need to improve. So they are very important. But only thing is that you have to do it honestly. That means don't get tempted in seeing any of the provisions while you are appearing for the mock test papers. Even if you feel that it's just a trigger or just a hint which you need for a particular provision, don't see it. That thing you should do after the examination. So because for your introspection, it is very important. You have to be true to yourself during this entire preparation process. Something you feel you do not know, you have to go to that provision again. But don't have this misconception about your preparation that you are ready and only some hints were required, otherwise you were prepared. Something which you are not able to recall during the mock test paper, that means you need some more preparation, some more um, uh, you know, brainstorming on that particular area or that particular domain. And last but not the least is during entire preparation stage as well as in the examination, maintain a healthy lifestyle. So eat a balanced diet, stay away from all the distractions, and have proper sleep during this period. So when I say proper sleep, you should have a sound sleep first of all, because you might have to curtail some time of your sleep also if you are, you are still preparing and you're midway of your preparation. Then you have to stretch also at this point of time for achieving your target. But whatever sleep you are having, it should be free of any distractions. Your mobile phones, all social media, everything. You should not, refer any social media before sleeping, before going for sleep. So at least 1 hour or 2 hour before, you should be away from all distractions. And when you go for sleep, you should have a very calm and peaceful sleep, so that it relaxes you for the next day and it prepares you for the next day preparation. So throughout this preparation stage, you have to stay positive, you have to stay motivated. Now, one important thing which you have to keep here in mind is focused study sessions. Now, whenever you are preparing for your examination during the day, you are, um, you know, you are studying a particular topic, then it is very important that the time when you have sit on your table for preparing a particular topic, your entire focus should be on that. That means you should be away from all distractions, anything which is going at your home, or anything which is going among your friends, or some other thing which is bothering you should be out of your mind. So you should be fully focused on the topic which you are studying. For this, we generally follow this 25 minutes approach, which says that first of all, you keep a window of 25 minutes for studying. Those 25 minutes are for the topic, for the provision, for the particular section which you have decided that you will be covering. Now, this 25 minutes of focused study, you are not going to get distracted by anything, or you are not going to go out, or you're not going to take any kind of break, water break or something. You're not going to take. So you are just going to have full-fledged study in 25 minutes, and then after that, 5 minutes break you need to take. So that will re-energize you for the next 25-minute session. So this type of cycle you can repeat 3 times. That means for 25 minutes you have your focused study session, then 5 minutes break you took, and then again you started studying. Now, so whenever you are studying, you are free from all distractions, from all your phone or your notifications, WhatsApp, Telegram, whatever it is there. Something very drastic has happened and your friends are calling you and you want to listen to their calls. So you just have to postpone it by after after that window, or after that 25 minutes period, you can do that. So keep yourself away from all distractions in that 25 minutes period, and then for 5 minutes you should take a break. So when you repeat 3 cycles of this, after that you can take a 20 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes, a big break to recharge. Now you can have your lunch also during that period. You want to go for a walk or whatever you want to have to re-energize you, to recharge you. You should take a bigger break after 4 cycles of this 25-minute study. This is a approach which is generally followed uh, for having focused study and productive study. These study sessions are more productive as compared to if we keep on studying for a very long duration, and after a particular point of time we are not able to gain anything from or grasp anything from our study. So taking small breaks in between helps us in recharging ourselves and retaining the things or the concepts which we are studying. Then these were the lifestyle habits which we just discussed, that have a very sound sleep during the preparation period, during the examination also, have a balanced diet, have a light diet, and try to keep yourself healthy, try to improve your immunity so that you don't fall sick at this point of time. This would be the last thing you would be wanting, or anybody would wish for. And stay away from all the distractions. So don't uh, get involved in any of the social medias, or try to be as restricted as possible while referring the social media or any kind of phone calls or in group discussions. If you are doing group discussions for study purpose, that is good. In fact, group studies are always advised because when we are doing group studies, we tend to clear each other's doubts, or some of our friends ask some type of doubts which we might have not thought of. But when we tend to know these things, we tend to think about them, that yes, this provision can be, this point can also be there in this provision. So that can help us in thinking out of box. But group studies should be productive, then only you should go for it. If you are getting distracted, some students are not comfortable with group studies, then they should go for whatever kind of preparation they prefer. Otherwise, group studies are preferable, because we tend to get to know new things or new concepts, or uh, we tend to improve our understanding during these group studies. So if you believe in yourself, and if you apply these strategies which you have just learned, then you will be able to achieve success. Only thing is that you have to stay calm, and you have to stay, stress free during the examination. For that, you just have to stay positive, and you have to keep your preparation at a higher level. That means your preparation should be perfect. Then only you will be stress free during the examination. So give your best in this 35 days period, and be prepared for the examination in the preparatory leaves as well as on the examination day. Give your best, give your 100%, whatever you can do at this point of time. Now we start with our subject specific inputs. That is, first is the our subject. You know that paper 3 taxation, it carries 100 marks. And section A is of income tax, that carries 50 marks. Section B is GST, and that also carries 50 marks. Now we are going to discuss specific things about GST now. The applicable position of law for the January 2025 examination is Finance Act 2023 plus the notifications and circulars issued till 30th June 2024. That means 6 months before the examination. So where will you get it? That I will be telling you, that what are the inputs or the BoS publications where you will get it. But first of all, you should know the applicable position of law which is there for your January 2025 examination, and how you are going to answer these questions which are asked in the examination. So there is a possibility that a particular provision has been amended twice or thrice before 30th June. Maybe in January a particular provision was there, in February it got amended, then in April it again got amended. So the question which will be asked has to be answered on the basis of position of GST law which is existing on 30th June 2024, and the provisions will be applicable of Finance Act 2023. In fact, Finance Number 2 Act 2024 was not there, and had it been there also, it would be applicable for the next year. So any Finance Act which comes during the year is applicable for the next year's examination. In case of the intermediate examination, it will be applicable in next May, September, and January thereafter. So if I say about Finance Act 23, it was applicable for May 2024, September 2024, as well as January 2025 examination. And the notifications and circulars cutoff date is 6 months prior to examination. Therefore, for May examination, it was 31st October 2023. Then for September examination, it was 29th February 2024. And for January examination, it will be 30th June 2024. That is 6 months before the examination. Now, what are the applicable BoS inputs or relevant BoS inputs which are available for the students for the examination? First is the study material. Now, that is the foremost publication you have to refer for the examination, and we'll quickly go through the study material so as to see the unique features of the study material. Let me take you through study material. See, we'll take any of the chapter, and I will tell you what are the points you need to keep in mind for while referring. This is your study material which is applicable for January 2025 examination. Now this is updated till 30th April 2023. However, the cutoff date which is applicable for you is 30th June 2024. So these balance amendments or the intervening amendments in the intervening period they have been compiled in the statutory update, which is relevant for January 2025 examination. So this study material has to be read along with statutory update. Now, first of all, you have the learning outcomes, that what you are going to learn from this chapter once you go through the entire chapter. These are the objectives which we want, or the purpose why we are studying this chapter. We'll be able to comprehend the taxable event. Then we'll be able to identify the transactions that amount to supply even without consideration, and so on. Then we have a chapter overview. A brief overview is given, that what is the meaning. We are going to learn meaning of supply. Then the activities, what type of activities are covered in this. If consideration is not there, then will it be considered as supply? Specific transactions are there. When the transactions will be categorized as goods or services, supply will be categorized as supply of goods or supply of services. Then the non-supplies are there. So a brief overview of the chapter is given in the beginning of the chapter, and then we have the complete discussion on the chapter. So we have the relevant definitions and the other topics. Now, I'm just scrolling through the chapter, and you can see that there are a lot of imageries, diagrams which are given, so as to make you understand the concepts of GST in a better manner. And we have made every possible effort to break the monotony while you are studying the chapter, because we have given so many flowcharts, diagrams, imageries also are there. Imagery is also a very good way of retaining the things. So if you want to recall any topic and you have an image associated with that, it helps you in retaining that or recalling that topic in a better manner, or it will make it easier for you. So this is, you can see that the diagrams are there, then imageries are there, tables are there. Everything has been broken into tables to make the things more easy for you. Then I will take you through rest of the chapter. We just have to take a minute break. So you can see the chapter, and in fact there are lot many examples, illustrations are there, which helps you understanding the concept. A topic is discussed, then you will have an example, one or two examples based on that, so that you can understand that yes, this is the provision, this is an example. Examples make us crystal clear about a topic. Just reading the plain theory generally doesn't make us that comfortable with the topic, as compared to when we have read the examples, then we know the practical application of that particular provision also. So sufficient number of diagrams, examples, illustrations are there, and all the amendments, they have been highlighted in bold and italics in the study material. So this happens every year, that whatever amendments are made from the previous study material, we highlight them in bold and italics, so that students know for sure that this is the amendment they have to cover while studying the new study material, which is there, which is applicable for your examination. So for you, for your examination, the study material which is applicable for January 2025, that you have to refer, which is there on the website, as well as you have the soft copy of that also. See, and I want to take you to the let us recapitulate section also. But before that, you can see, and in the MCQ quizzes we have in the chapter. Now these MCQ quizzes, they have some or the other tricky point which will help you that whether you have understood the concept or the chapter properly or not. So I would suggest go through all the MCQ quizzes only when you have completed the chapter. Once you complete the entire chapter, you're sure, you're confident about that chapter, go through these MCQ quizzes and try to answer them on your own. In fact, answers are not given in the study material. They are given at a separate portal, for which you have to scan the QR code which is given at the end of the chapter. There you will find the answer. But before that, try to find the answers on your own, and you will definitely have to do some brainstorming to find their answer. So these MCQ quizzes are not very routine type of questions or routine type of MCQs. They have some or the other trick associated with them. You will find some conceptual clarity. You will get some conceptual clarity while after attempting these MCQs. So we get a lot many queries of these students based for these MCQ quizzes, because they have some or the other doubt in these MCQs, as they are not very straightforward MCQs. You have to apply a provision properly to answer them. So this is how our chapter looks like. And at the end of the chapter, we have the let us recapitulate section. That this was the section I was talking about, that we have the pictorial summary given at the end of the chapter. We have covered the entire chapter in a summarized format. You can add your own points to this summary, because every student wants to revise in their own manner, in his own manner. So for that, you have to add whatever you want to points you want to add during the revision stage. So this you can add at this point of time only when you are preparing, and you can make your summary complete. This is the test your knowledge section. Questions are there and then the answers are there. Now we'll tell you how you have to approach the test your knowledge section also, so that you can make best out of it. So this is the chapter. Now let's come back to the presentation. Next is the RTP, revision test paper. Revision test paper for January 2025 examination has already been hosted on the website and it has been released. Printed copies are also available. You should go through them. It has the questions for assessing your preparation. So there also I would suggest that you should first of all go through the questions, try to attempt those questions on your own, and then see the answers where if you have gone wrong, then where you have gone wrong, or if it's right, then you come to know that yes, you know the provision. So revision test paper, at this point of time, you can refer it. And mock test paper you should do once you are thorough with your syllabus. You have completed your syllabus of a particular subject. Then only you should appear for the mock test papers. Then comes the statutory update. Now, statutory update we'll take on the, this is the BoS knowledge portal. Okay. Now here you will get all the repository of BoS inputs. If you see study material, Saransh, in fact, students' journal, amendments, everything is here. Revision test papers, suggested answers, everything is there. You can see past year suggested answers also, past attempts suggested answers, September 2024 examination, suggested answers. You should refer and you should try to find out the way in which you have to answer the questions, because sometimes we feel that the answers which are provided in the study material are elaborate enough, because that is the ideal answer, that are the best possible way of answering any question. But under the examination condition, we have very limited time. Sometimes a question is for 2 marks and same question is asked for 5 marks also. So how we have to differentiate or how we have to answer as per the marks which a question carries, that you can understand through the suggested answers. In fact, in revision test papers also, we take care that the answers are in commensuration with the requirement of the question, but their marks are not there, which are there in suggested answers. So that gives you an idea. If a 2-marker question is there, then how much should I write to substantiate it properly? And if a 5 marks question is there, then what should be the answer? So that will help you in knowing the way of writing the answers. So the amendments or developments are there in GST for January 2000. Sorry, I have opened for income tax. Yes, this is the GST amendments which are given to you. Statutory update for January 2025. Chapterized form is there. For every chapter, we have segregated the amendments so that you can read a chapter as well as you can read the amendments which are applicable for that particular examination, for that particular chapter. Now, let us come to the presentation. MCQ practice portal. Now, MCQs, you know that 30% of your paper consists of MCQs. So for that, sufficient number of case scenarios as well as the independent MCQs, independent small scenario based MCQs are there. All of them are apt. In fact, here we have some direct questions also, but for examination, you have to refer only scenario based MCQs. So small scenario can be there and a single MCQ can be asked on the basis of the same, or a big scenario and based on that 3 to 6 questions can be asked and you have to answer it on the basis of the information given in the scenario. This is very important, that whatever scenario is given to you, the questions following that scenario have to be answered based on the information given in the scenario. Don't answer it independently, even if it is possible, because answer will be different if you are answering that question without seeing the scenario. You have to see the information which is given in the scenario, then answer that, applying the relevant provisions which are there. So the important special features of study material we have already gone through, that there is a let us recapitulate section, MCQ quizzes are there, crossword puzzle. In fact, I didn't take you through. I will show you once again. Rapid fire quiz is there. Now, rapid fire quiz is there in the procedural law. And in substantive law, the MCQ quizzes are there. So in MCQ, the chapters which are of core provisions till ITC, that is input tax credit, chapters have MCQ quizzes. And after that, the procedural law, there we have rapid fire quizzes, which test your retention of the provisions. And then we have visual imageries throughout the chapter to make it more, you know, to make it more um, interesting for the students to refer. Now let us see the chapter. At the end of the chapter, we have this crossword puzzle. Now this is also to help you in retaining the concepts in a interesting manner. No. So BOS knowledge portal, we have already gone through the BOS knowledge portal. Let us see if any more feature we have left from the portal. This is the home page. I think I have already taken you through. Past year questions are also there. Section wise, skill wise weightage, then MRA study material, that is not relevant for you, but still every input which a student requires is available on the BOS knowledge portal. Now comes the section wise weightage and study guidelines. Section wise and skill wise weightage. I already told you that you have to study in accordance with the weightage which a section carries. So if a section carries higher weightage, then it has to be stressed more, or you have to devote more time to that section. You have to do that section more thoroughly, because that section, the questions from that section are going to carry a higher weightage. Now this is the section wise weightage for the paper 3B, goods and services tax. See, the GST law introduction, that is chapter 1, that carries a weightage of 0 to 5%. Now this itself tells us that how much we have to devote time on this in case we are short of time. So whatever weightage is there, we have to prepare a topic on that. That means that does not mean that we have to leave a topic, or we have to study only those topics which have a higher weightage. It only means the time which we are going to devote to each topic. Then comes the core provisions or the substantive provisions of GST law. What are the core provisions of GST law? The taxable event supply, levy of GST, then composite and mixed supplies, charge of GST, place of supply, time and value of supply, and next comes the input tax credit. So overall these provisions helps us in computing the GST liability. So that is the point 4 here, computation of GST liability. So all those provisions which are required for computing the GST liability, or which are primarily you know responsible or primarily important for determining the GST liability, are the core provisions or the substantive provisions of GST law. And see the weightage which they carry in your entire paper, 50 to 80%. So more than half, at least half of the paper will be from this. That is for sure. 50% weightage it carries, and at max 80%. So it can go as high as 80%. So this itself reflects the importance of chapter 2 to chapter 8, that how important these chapters are and how much time you have to devote to these chapters. Then comes the procedural law. Now procedural law is the registration, tax invoice, debit and credit notes, accounts and records, e-way bill. Then we have payment of tax and returns, TDS TCS provisions. So TDS TCS provisions were newly introduced from May 2024 under the new scheme. These provisions had been introduced. And same holds good for place of supply also. This was introduced under the new scheme only. Accounts and records was also earlier not there. So from May 2024 examination, we introduced it. So these provisions are the procedural provisions. Now their weightage is at least 20% of the paper will be from this, and it can go up to 45%. So they also have a substantial weightage, but yes, the core provisions have to be done thoroughly, or you cannot compromise, or you cannot forego the preparation of the substantive provisions, because they are the most important. Their weightage is very, very high. So 50 to 80% paper is there from this section. So you can yourself understand that yes, this is the most important section you have to study. Then we have the study guidelines. Now study guidelines, what you actually mean by study guidelines? They are the topics which have been excluded from the syllabus. I think Let me show you this. These are from for May. Let me show you the study guidelines for January examination. Let us go to that. Study guidelines for January 2025 examination. Now, these study guidelines apprise you of the applicable of position of law, which will be there for January examination. As it has already mentioned, amendments up to 30th June will be effective, will be applicable. Plus, it apprises you of the exclusions or the topics which you do not have to study for the forthcoming examination. Now, this is all very important because all of us want to know first the topics which are not applicable or which we do not have to study. So, everybody is more interested in knowing that what is not to be studied rather than what is to be studied. So, this is because all of us have this tendency that we should first know that this is something we do not have to do. At least we do not devote our time on this thing. This is only for knowledge purpose. If we get time, we can read this. Otherwise, for examination purpose, this will not come. So these are the topics. We will quickly go through them. Rates of taxes of goods or services. So that will be provided to you in the examination. In case you have to compute the GST liability, you would require the rate of GST. That would be provided in the question. So you do not need to memorize that because we have a huge list and that only amounts to rote learning or that only tests the rote learning capacity of the students. So that is not applicable for the examination. You do not have to see the list of rate of goods or services which is applicable on that particular item. Similarly, reverse charge, the goods tax on which has to be paid on reverse charge, that is also not applicable. But the services on which tax is payable under reverse charge mechanism, that is very well there in your syllabus and we'll also see how to memorize them. So same is for IGST, rates of IGST is not there, then reverse charge mechanism applicable in case of IGST law, that is also not applicable for goods. For services, it is there in the syllabus. Exemption with regard to goods is also not there in the syllabus. Place of supply provisions. Now, place of supply provisions which are applicable at intermediate level are only the domestic transactions. So, section 10 and section 12 are applicable in at the intermediate level. Section 11 as well as section 13, 14 and 14A, they are not applicable at the intermediate level. They have been specifically excluded. Study material covers only what is there, what is relevant for the examination. Then we have time of supply. In time of supply, the provisions relating to change in rate of tax is not there. Section 14 of the CGST Act. Then we have the value of supply. The basic concepts are applicable, but the valuation rules are outside the syllabus. In ITC also the reversal provisions. Now it is there in Rule 38. The banking company, the reversal provisions with regard to banking company are there. And that's in Rule 38, that is not applicable. Rule 42 and 43 reversal provisions with respect to inputs, input services and capital goods is also not there in the syllabus. Job work provision regarding the input tax credit provisions relating to job work, relating to input service distributor, that is not there in your syllabus. In fact, at the end of the table, there is an explanation which says that, for example, the input tax credit chapter excludes the ISD or input service distributor provisions, job work provisions. Then that means the related provisions in other chapters are also excluded. In registration also, whatever special provisions we have for job work, we have for for the input service distributor, they are excluded. They are not applicable for your examination. So this is the study guidelines you have to keep in mind while preparing for the examination. Now let us come to the next, how to master any topic. Now in case you have the any difficulty in any of the topics, in understanding any of the topics, then how you're going to master that topic, because many a times it so happens that we go through a particular topic and we are not able to at all understand it, or we are not able to memorize it properly. So for that, what you can do is, first of all, study that topic from the study material and thereafter write an explanation to that particular topic in a manner as if you are trying to explain it to a person who does not understand GST law. So try to write it in the simplest form, whatever you have understood by studying the study material or your reference material. Try to explain that topic in the simplest form, in a simple language. You try to write it on a piece of paper and you have to assume that you are explaining it to somebody who does not know the law. So that way, what you will do, you will use very simple language and whatever you have understood. In that process, you will see that you are automatically able to understand the nuances of that particular topic, or you are able to understand that topic in a better manner. Now, when you are writing the explanation, you have to identify the areas where your understanding is not up to the mark. When you are writing that explanation, you will find that this is something I have to once again read. Some questions will come in your mind because you are explaining it to someone. So, some automatic questions will come to your mind that if this happens, what will be the answer? And that you are not aware of when you're writing the explanation. So, you'll again go back to the original source, the study material, and then you will see that what are the answers to that questions which have come up in your mind. This will help you in gaining the complete understanding of that particular topic or mastering that topic in a better manner. So this is the procedure which you can follow if you're finding any topic to be difficult. Now comes the effective memory techniques. Now this is also very important because many a times it so happens that we have studied something but we are not able to recall it, or we are not able to retain it till the examination day. So then what should be done? Because we have understood a topic, we have learned it also, but on the examination day, we might not be able to reproduce them because we do not recall them, or we do not retain them till the date of examination. So for that, there are few effective memory techniques which you can use, and that will help you in retaining that topic for a longer period of time. The use of mnemonics. Mnemonics are the powerful memory aids which you can use for retaining a particular topic. Now, what are the mnemonics which are there? Popular mnemonic techniques are the acronyms or acrostics. Now, we'll see each of them during our discussion. Try understanding the logic or intent of the provision. First is acronyms or acrostics, which says that you can make small, you know, abbreviations, or you can take the first letter of your provision and then you can summarize it, or you can make a word out of it. Now, acronyms can be based on your interest, on your areas of interest. So, whatever areas of interest you have, you can make your acronyms based on the your areas of interest, and then you can recall that provision during the examination. So, acronyms, or same way goes the acrostics. Acrostics are words. You are taking words from each of the provision, and those words will help you in recalling the provision. Second is the visual imagery. Now we have used a lot of visual imagery in our study material, which helps you in retaining the concept. Next is the try to understand the logic or intent of a provision. Now, if you see the statutory update, almost at every point of time, we have tried to explain the students that what was the logic why this amendment has been made. So this, when we know that yes, why this provision was introduced in the first place, this helps us in retaining that provision in a better manner, because you know that yes, this provision came because of the this lacuna in law which was there, or this problem which was being faced by the suppliers. This facility was not available on the portal. That is why this particular amendment has come. So, for if we understand the logic, if we understand the intent of any provision, then we tend to recall or retain that provision in a better manner. Next comes the repetition of now repetition is, now something is there which you are not able to make any acronyms, you are not able to relate with any of the visual images, and you're not able to find the you don't know the logic behind it, but still you have to remember that for the examination. Now what to be done? So in that case, what you have to do is you can repeat it. Now the only way which is left is repetition, because now what type of provisions fall in this categories? Suppose some rate of taxes are there, some due dates you have to remember. Now these are very the specific points for tax laws, that you have to remember the TDS TCS rates, you have to remember the rate for composition scheme, or the due dates for returns. For registration, you have to remember that till what time a person should take registration, and you're not able to relate them with any of the logic, or you're not able to find out their intention. You just have to memorize them. So you have to repeat them. Now, how can you repeat them? You can prepare flashcards. You can put those due dates on your wall or on your study table. You can put it. And, after each day when you start your studies, First of all, go through those dates, those rates which you have to remember. Anything which you want to remember, and you want it to be repeated every day. First thing you should do in the morning is you should go through that. In every break, you can go through these dates, these no, due dates or rates of TDS, TCS, whatever you want to retain through this repetition method. You should go through each of the breaks. You should go through those. So that will help you in memorizing the concepts and provisions. Now, some of the examples of the acronyms, because I said you can make small acronyms of the concepts which you are studying. Now, what are the examples? Now, suppose this is the definition of supply. So, what I want to tell you that if you have a definition, how can you memorize it with the help of acronyms, or how can you memorize the significant components of this? Because you know that if supply is there, then all forms of supply are included. It should be a supply of goods, it should be a supply of services. Then we have 8 illustrative form of supply. So everything is supply, and it also includes all forms of supply. Now supply has an inclusive definition, so all of you would appreciate that this is uh, an exhaustive definition. It includes everything, and almost everything which you think can be supply is there in this definition. That whatever you think is supply is definitely a supply, and apart from that it also includes all forms of supply of goods or services or both. So, if it has to be a supply, it should be a supply of either goods or services. Illustrative form of supply which are given to you are disposal, sale, license, rental, barter, exchange, lease and transfer, and it should be made or agreed to be made for a consideration. So consideration is an important element of supply by a person in course or furtherance of business. So this is also an important element. So if we see what are the important elements which we have to remember in a definition of supply. First of all, we have to identify that. So you should be able to identify that what are the key points you have to remember, because when you are answering your questions in next session, we will see how we have to answer our questions. What are the key words we have to write in each of the answer to secure maximum marks, so that nothing is missed. We know that a question has been asked for 2 marks, suppose it asks for definition of supply. So what are the points or what are the key words you have to write? So we'll cover that also, and side by side we'll cover how we can make an acronym for this definition to remember these key words. So first is all forms of goods or services. So word goods is very important, services is very important. If something is not goods, not service, nor services, for example, money, securities, so they are outside the purview of supply. Second thing is illustrative forms of supply. Now we have said this is what supply is, but what is the example of such type of supplies? It is disposal, sale, license, rental, barter, exchange, lease, and transfer. It should be for consideration. So something which is not for consideration, it is not a supply. We have exception to that in schedule 1, but the definition says if it is not for consideration, it is not a supply. If it is not in course or furtherance of business, it is not a supply. So these are the key elements: goods, services, all the illustrative forms of supply, then consideration and business test. So what we have made short form is DSLR, belt of GS for C and B: disposal, sale, lease, rental, then the barter, exchange, license, and the trans, uh, transfer of goods and services. GS, goods and services for consideration and business, is what supply is. So DSLR belt of GS for C and B. This is how I have abbreviated it. You can have n number of ways to abbreviate it, to make acronyms for this definition and retain it for the exam purpose. Similar way, you know that there are certain supplies on which tax is not leviable at present. It will be levied from a date to be notified. These are basically petroleum products. So these are aviation turbine fuel, high-speed diesel, natural gas, petroleum crude, and motor spirit. Now this is how we have abbreviated it. FD of GPS. This is a way of learning it. So if you remember it, you can remember fuel. This is air turbine fuel. D stands for diesel. So high speed diesel is there. G is gas, that is natural gas. P, petroleum, crude petroleum. And then S is spirit, that is motor spirit. So this helps you in retaining these five petroleum products which are outside the purview of GST at present. This is how acronyms work. Next comes how acrostics work. Now, acrostics is, for example, in Schedule 1, we had already discussed that there are activities which are without consideration, but still they are deemed as supply. Because definition of supply clearly says something which is not for a consideration is not a supply. But exception to that is Schedule 1. Schedule 1 provides that the activities which are listed in Schedule 1 shall be deemed as supply even if consideration is not there. Now, these are the four paras of Schedule 1. And we all have to remember them because they have their application in almost some of the question. One of the question will definitely be there which have the application of Schedule 1. So we need to remember all four clauses, and in fact in four clauses we should remember the keywords also. So if we take the keywords from each of the clause or each of the para and we make a sentence out of it, that is also a way of remembering it, or that is also a memory technique which is called acrostics. So what are the acrostics for Schedule 1? Permanent transfer. See, permanent transfer between related persons by a principal to his agent for import of services. Now this brings us to the keywords of all the paras. First para says permanent transfer of or disposal of business assets, where ITC has been availed on such assets. Now, so permanent transfer we have covered for first para. Then second says between related or distinct persons, it should be their supply should be between related or distinct persons. So that we have covered. Third para covers supply by principal to agent. So that we have covered by principal to his agent, and import of services in the last para. That is also the key word in the last para, import of services. So this helps us in recalling the four activities which are considered as supply even if they are without consideration. Next is the notified services, tax on which shall be paid by the ECO if such services are supplied through it. Maybe it is possible that at this point of time you might not have gone through some of these provisions, though supply chapter I hope everybody would have done. But like this ECO provision, electronic commerce operator provision, might not be, you might not have gone through because you are yet to prepare that chapter. But while doing that chapter, you can use this technique, how you can use the acrostic to prepare or to learn these services. So under electronic commerce operator provisions, the tax on certain services which are notified for this purpose has to be paid by the electronic commerce operator and not by the supplier. You know that how electronic commerce operator model works. The supplier of goods or services have to supply services through the e-commerce platform which is operated by an electronic commerce operator. Now, this e-commerce platform lists the goods or services which are supplied by these suppliers, and the electronic commerce operator just facilitates the sale of these goods or supply of these services. Now, there are certain notified services. First thing is that these are only services, not goods. There are certain services which are notified, and the tax on these services shall be paid by the electronic commerce operator and not by the supplier who is supplying these services. What are these services? For this, we have made an acrostic, which is this. Transportation of passengers except by omnibus of company to hotel and restaurant for housekeeping. Okay. Now, transportation of passengers except by omnibus of company. Transportation of passengers covers this clause, whereas it gives you the exception that omnibus of a company, where omnibus services relating to omnibus are provided by the company. In that case, these provisions will not apply. That means where the omnibus services is provided where the person supplying such services through the electronic commerce operator, it is itself a company, then it is not called reverse charge actually. The tax will not be paid by the ECO, tax will be paid by the company itself. So services of transportation of passengers through omnibus is provided, but it is provided by a company, and company will pay the tax. So this is what we have understood here, that transportation of passenger service except by omnibus of company. So these are words which you have to stress upon. Omnibus, but company is not included. Then the hotel services and restaurant services, and then housekeeping services. So accommodation services are there. Then we have the restaurant services and housekeeping services. If they are provided through an electronic commerce operator, then ECO is going to pay tax, or electronic commerce operator is going to pay tax. Only the exception is that where the transportation of services in provided by omnibus is provided by a company, then the ECO is not required to pay tax. And this is how you can remember it. Now another way of memory technique is for reverse charge mechanism. Now reverse charge table is very cumbersome for everyone, and but it is very very important, because it can have its it can be there in any of the questions. Just a small entry can be there in your computation of GST, or it can be there in computation of the value of supply also. It can be there, some independent question can also be there, that who is the person liable to pay tax. So it is very important from the examination point of view, and you have to remember that table. So sometimes we get confused between who will be the supplier, who will be the recipient, when the reverse charge will be attracted. In case of which service, we have to see the registered person, and the recipient should be a registered person. In which supplies, the recipient should be a body corporate, or the supplier should be a body corporate. So we generally get so confused in this list that we tend to mess with the same, and we don't remember exactly who should be the supplier, who should be the recipient. So for this, what we have done is we have segregated the services based on either the type of services which are there, or on the basis of the recipient, or the left out are GTA, sponsorship and insurance agent services. So first of all, who is the recipient? Based on the recipient, the services have been categorized. Now if your recipient is a business entity, then reverse charge will apply. If the recipient is business entity, reverse charge will apply in case of three services. First is legal services. Legal services provided by an advocate, then by a senior advocate or a firm of advocates. That will be taxable under RCM if the recipient is a business entity. Similar is the case for arbitral tribunal. If for arbitral tribunal, the recipient is a business entity, services are provided by an arbitral tribunal to a business entity, then the services will be taxable under the reverse charge mechanism. And the third one is the government services. If the state government or central government or local authority is providing any services to a government, to a business entity, that will be taxable under reverse charge mechanism, or tax on that will be paid by the recipient, that is the business entity. Now, so this way you can remember it, that the business entity is the recipient, and these are the three services where we have to see that recipient should be a business entity. This way you have categorized, or you have made a pool of these three services, that legal services, arbitral tribunal and government services. If they are provided to a business entity, in these three cases the recipient should be a business entity to make them a reverse charge service. So government services, they do not include the services provided by the Department of Post, Ministry of Railways. They do not cover the transportation of passengers by vessel, or by road or by vessel. So these are excluded there. Otherwise, and renting of immovable property service is also excluded in this particular clause. From here it is excluded because it is specifically provided here. But we'll see what it says here. But here renting of immovable property is not there. Okay. Now the second one is recipient is registered person. Now where the recipient is registered person, then the reverse charge will apply. There are again three services which has reverse charge provisions applicable to them in case the recipient is a registered person. First one was business entity. There we had two type of legal services. One is legal services by advocate, senior advocate or firm of advocates. Second was arbitral tribunal, and third one was government services. Second, the recipient should be a registered person. Now, second pool is registered person pool. The services where the reverse charge mechanism will apply in case the recipient is a registered person are renting of immovable property provided by government. So this service, if it is provided by government and recipient is a registered person, then the RCM will apply. That is why it has been excluded from here. Because here the recipient is a business entity. But if recipient is a business entity, that does not matter to us. That business entity should be registered. Then the reverse charge mechanism will apply in case of renting of immovable property service provided by the government. So renting of immovable service provided by government, recipient registered person, reverse charge will apply. Renting of residential dwelling. So two property related services are there in registered person. Here the basic domination was the dominant nature of service was legal services, so arbitral tribunal or legal services. Here it was the the renting of, basically it is immovable property only because residential dwelling is also an immovable property. So renting of immovable property per se by government, recipient is registered person, reverse charge will apply. Renting of residential dwelling, recipient is a registered person, then the reverse charge provision will apply. Only thing is, if the recipient is a registered person, but it is a sole proprietor, and that sole proprietor has taken the residential dwelling for his own purpose. It has taken this residential dwelling on rent for his own use or for his own residence purpose, then the reverse charge will not apply. Sole proprietor is registered under GST, but that sole proprietor has not taken it for his firm, for his sole proprietorship firm, or for his business purpose. He has not taken this residential dwelling for rent. Instead, he wants to reside in that residential dwelling. For that purpose, he has taken the residential dwelling on rent. Then this reverse charge provision will not apply because it becomes exempt. It is not liable to, GST will not be payable on it. So it is exempt. That is why reverse charge provisions will also not apply. Something which is exempt, you do not need to collect tax on it. So collecting tax by the recipient or supplier, paying tax by recipient or supplier does not arise. But if it is a taxable supply, then, and the supplier is a recipient is a registered person, then tax has to be paid in the reverse charge. Third is the security services. Now these security services are supply of security personals primarily. So security services in the form of supply of security personals, there also, if they are provided to a registered person, that will lead to reverse charge provisions. So this second pool has registered person, and in case of the registered recipient, three types of supplies are there: renting of immovable property by government, renting of residential dwelling, and the third one is the security services. Then comes the banking or NBFC related services. Now again, a different category has been made for the services which are related to banking services. Basically, these are banking services. And in these first three cases, the recipient has to be a bank or an NBFC, non-banking financial company. First is IDSA. Now this word I is very important here. I stands for individual. Why I have put here IDSA? So as to give you an idea, or it's a kind of abbreviation, acronym. Read it together, IDSA. So that individual, DSA. What is DSA? Direct selling agent. So if it is an individual direct selling agent and it is providing services to bank or NBFC, reverse charge will apply and bank will pay the tax. Direct selling agent, what type of services it provides? It brings business to the bank. Now this type of this business can be in rural area, in urban area. All type of businesses which a agent brings to the bank comes under the purview of direct selling agent. He himself does not transact with the client, but he brings business to the bank. So he is a direct selling agent. So he is directly selling your business to the directly bringing business to the to the bank. Recovery agent is comes into picture when you have sold the product and now you're not getting the you have sold the banking products, now you are getting not getting it recovered. So you need to recover it through recovery agent. Now the recovery agent also provides services to banks, that is also taxable under reverse charge. So if a recovery agent is providing services to bank, again reverse charge comes. Business facilitator. Now, if a business facilitator is providing services to a bank, that will also be taxable under reverse charge. Business facilitator are small, agents or small. They operate at a very small level, and they opens the bank accounts, nominal bank, very regular kind of banking services they provide on behalf of bank, and generally they operate in the rural areas for bringing the business to bank. So business facilitator, if it is providing, and they cannot do anything on their own, they have to transact the business on behalf of bank. They bring the business to bank, and bank has to undertake the transaction. But next comes the business correspondent. They can open a bank accounts on behalf of the banking or non NBFCs, and that is the service which comes here in RCM is agent of business correspondent to business correspondent. Now these business correspondent, again they take help of some agents. So whatever services their agent are providing to these business correspondents, that is taxable under reverse charge. So these three services, if they are provided to bank, that is IDSA, individual direct selling agent, recovery agent, or business facilitator, if they are providing these services to a bank, bank will pay tax under reverse charge. In case an agent of business correspondent provides services to business correspondent, that will also be taxable under reverse charge. These are four banking related services. Individual direct selling agent, that means bringing business to bank. Business facilitator, again bringing business to bank. Then once the business has been done, you have to recover the dues. So recovery agent comes into picture. And then the fourth one is the agent of business correspondent to business correspondent. Next is the where the recipient is a body corporate. Two types of services are there. First is the director services. Now, in case a director is there and it is providing some services to the company in the nature of director, as a director, in the capacity of a director, if he is providing these services, then it is taxable under reverse charge. But if these services are not in the nature of or not in the capacity of a director, then no RCM. Suppose he is providing the renting of immovable property service. So renting of immovable property, if it is provided by government, then it is taxable under reverse charge. But if it is a commercial property, then no reverse charge is there as of now. Then in that case, the director services, uh, if director is providing such services, that will not come under RCM. Similarly, the next service which we have where the recipient is a body corporate is renting of motor vehicle. Now, renting of motor vehicle, where motor vehicle has been designed to carry passengers. So, transportation carrying passenger, transportation vehicle which is for the transportation of passengers, where the cost of fuel is included in the value of supply. Rate being charged is 5%, that is 2.5% CGST, 2.5% SGST. If these conditions are being fulfilled, and the recipient is a body corporate. In fact, supplier should not be a body corporate here. Supplier should be a non-body corporate. Then the RCM will apply. So in case of body corporate, two services are there. Renting of motor vehicle and director services. For these two services, if recipient is a body corporate, RCM will apply. In case of GTA, again the recipient is important. But here, this is only for GTA, which is specifically given here, BSF CRPC. BSF, Border Security Force, CRPC, you know, Criminal Procedure Code. This short form I have made for as per my understanding, but you can make any other acronym for this. This is the list of the recipients for which GTA will be liable to pay, for GTA services, recipient will be liable to pay tax. That means these recipients will be liable to pay tax. body corporate, society, factory, casual, casual taxable person, then registered person, partnership firm, and cooperative society. So these are the seven recipients in which case GTA services will be taxed under reverse charge. Last comes the sponsorship service. Sponsorship service, if it is provided to a body corporate or partnership firm. So we did not put in this category because here partnership firm is also there. Recipient should be a body corporate or a partnership firm. In that case, the services will be taxed under reverse charge mechanism. That means this body corporate or partnership firm has to pay the tax. Next comes the insurance agent services. Now, in case of the insurance agent services, if they are provided to an insurance business, these are the recipients. Okay. So if these are the recipients, the insurance business is the recipient, or in case of the sponsorship service, if body corporate or partnership firm is the recipient, and in that case, reverse charge mechanism will apply. So now, with this, we comes to an end to the memory techniques or the reverse charge notification. We have gone through that. What are the basic ways to remember the reverse charge notification? We come to the how we can practice the test your knowledge questions. Now, this is also very important. While practicing the test your knowledge questions, what you should do is you should first of all go through all the questions and try to answer, try to find out their, determine their answers on your own. So, first, compute or ascertain their answers on your own, and then see the answers which are provided or the suggested answers which we have provided. Now, first thing you have to see that what are the questions where you still are not prepared so that you can improve on in these areas. Second thing is mark the questions where you find some of the tricky points. Because at this point of time in every chapter you should have 3 4 such questions where you find that some point was there which had some tricky issue or which you are not able to solve in the first instance, so you want to revise it during the examination time, preparatory leave. So mark those questions which have some difficult issue, some tricky point in them. And if you can write, briefly summarize the treatment of that particular item also there. So that when you read that again, whenever again you go through it, immediately you can see the treatment of that particular point also. So at that time, mark the problems which have some difficult issues. Then you try to write their treatment also. And whenever in revision time you will be revising that chapter, those questions also you have to revise so that if such a similar question comes or similar point comes in the examination, you would be able to answer it in the examination. So this is the way of practicing the application based questions. Now I will quickly take some of the commonly committed errors in the examination. Now see this question. This is a question of the um, valuation, determination of value of supply. Determine the value of taxable supplies made by Value Limited. Quickly, we will go through the question because I don't want to solve the question. I want to tell you the area where the students commit the mistake. In fact, if you can solve the question, then that would be fine. So if you people want to solve the question and if you write the answers in the chat box, then that will help you in understanding the provision. If you have already gone through this chapter, then you should be able to answer it also. So Vayu Limited provides you the following particulars: list price of the goods. Then, so list price of the goods is given to you. Then we have the special packing charges, which are at the request of the customer, and the duty levied by the local authority. That can be municipal taxes, 4,000. CGST and SGST charged separately in the invoice, 14,400, and the subsidy received from an NGO in relation to the goods sold. Now, the price of rupees 81,000 given above is before considering the subsidy. Now, this is very important. That subsidy has been given to you, but the list price is before considering subsidy. That means list price does not exclude subsidy. The accounting treatment of subsidy is that you have to exclude it or reduce it from the price, or you have to deduct it from the price. But here, the list price does not exclude subsidy, or subsidy has not been excluded. List price which is given to you is before considering subsidy. And then you have to compute the value of taxable supplies. Now, when we compute the value of taxable supply, we know that special packing will be included because these are the incidental expenses which are incurred by the supplier. So they will be included in the value. Any taxes other than CGST and SGST, that will be included in the value. So duty levied by local authority will also be included. CGST and SGST will not be included because any GST tax, any tax levied under GST law will not be included in the value. We have to compute GST on that. And then we have the subsidy. Subsidy amount if it is received from a non-governmental organization and the subsidy is price linked. Now here we have to assume that it is a price linked subsidy. And you can assume the other way around also, but since it is it can be allocated on a particular product, so primarily it is a price linked subsidy. Subsidy received from the product from the NGO is 5,000. Now this has not been excluded. The treatment for this is that you have to include it in the value of supply, but you have to include it only when you have actually deducted it from the price in the first place. Now, in this question, it is specifically mentioned that the price is before considering subsidy. So, from this price, the subsidy has not been reduced. Now, since the subsidy has not been reduced, so you cannot once again reduce the subsidy or you cannot give any treatment to this subsidy. You have to, only thing you want is that a non-governmental subsidy should be included in the price. It is already included in the price, so no need to include it again. Now, this price is before subsidy and we had to include the subsidy. So there is no need for giving any treatment to this. So no treatment for this, as well as there will be no treatment for the CGST and SGST tax. So these two items will not be treated in the answer. Now let us see the which is not the incorrect way of presenting the answer. First is somebody has presented this answer in this way. It has mentioned all the items. Special packing will be added. Duty levied by local authority, it will be added. CGST will not be added, and then subsidy will not be added because we have nil amounts here. And we got the, this will be 90,000. Okay. So we have the final value of supply. But what is wrong here is, in fact, it's a wrong answer. So this can also be wrong. But what is not actually expected from the students is this type of reasoning. Now, this is the reasoning which a student has provided. It has simply mentioned section 15(2). Without writing that what was the provision, as I already told you, that memorizing sections will not suffice. You should know the provision for sure. For example, the special packing. Now, it's an incidental expense. That is why it has been included. Duty levied by local authority, we just discussed. Any tax other than CGST, SGST compensation says IGST has to be included. So that is why it is being included. CGST and SGST are not being included because they are excludable from the value of supply. Subsidy, we have to include while determining the value of supply because it is a non-governmental subsidy, price-linked subsidy, it has to be included. But no treatment will be given because it is already included and we had to include it only. So no treatment has been given. So all these reasonings have to be given. But it was not given in this answer, and that is why, although the final answer is correct, marks awarded will not be full. Full marks will not be awarded here. Similarly, see this question, this answer. Now, what is the problem in this answer? Here, if you see the reasoning, elaborate reasoning has been provided. That is the incidental expenses charged by the supplier from the recipient. That is why packing has been included. And taxes other than CGST, SGST, UTGST are includable. So it has provided the elaborate reasoning. You can, if you don't want to write the section number, that would suffice. Okay, but the reasoning should be a proper reasoning which has been given. But what is the mistake here because of which the student will not get the full marks? This is also an example where student will not score full. In this question, in this answer, we had seen that only section numbers were given as explanatory notes. For every computational problem, you have to provide proper reasoning for everything which you are treating. If you see, there were 5 items in this question: list price, special packing, duty, CGST, subsidy. For everything, we have to write the reasoning. List price, you know, this is the price paid or payable. But for other additions, we have to write specific reasoning why we are adding them. This student has only given the section numbers. That is not the way, and that will not help you in scoring full, because you have to provide proper reasoning. Even if you don't write sections, that is fine. In this case also, the student has written the proper reasoning, but what he has done wrong is that he has not given us the treatment for CGST, how we have treated CGST and SGST charged, and how we have treated subsidy. Though it does not have any treatment, any effect on the value of supply, but how we have treated it should have been mentioned, and the reasoning for the same should have been mentioned. This we have actually missed here. So that is why this treatment is also not fully correct. This answer is also not fully correct. So what would have been the ideal way of answering this question? It is this. So this becomes 90,000. Okay. Now list price, add special packing. We have a note for it, and where we have given the proper reasoning. Then we have the duty levied for CGST, SGST, as well as for duty levied by local authority. Same reasoning is there that we have already mentioned in note 2. And we have given specific reasoning for subsidy. And we have shown it here also. Even if you don't show it in this table, you can give separate reasoning at the end of the table also. But reason for not including subsidy, reason for not including CGST and SGST has to be given. This is the final answer. Okay. So this is the way of answering the question. In fact, there are other questions also. There are other points also which we would like to apprise you in the next session of Success at Sea exams. This is only a way of presenting the answer, way of presenting a computational question. We will discuss the way of presenting the application-based simple non-computational questions which have application of provisions, the direct theory questions, how you have to answer them, what are the points you need to keep in mind. But all these things will be discussed in the next session, so that you do not commit those mistakes in the examination. We'll discuss few computational errors also which students commit in the examination in the next session. And before that, we are coming up with the webinars also for the students, so that you can improve your performance. There we will discuss that how you can improve your performance in the goods and services tax, which will, first of all, you should, and in fact, we would also advise you to watch the live virtual revisionary classes, which have just been convened few days back. Last week it was convened. So those live revisionary classes will help you in revising the entire subject. And then the areas where you have to pay more focus, or the areas where you have to put more stress, will be discussed in the webinars. There it will be discussed in detail that how you have to write your answers, what are the things you have to keep in mind while doing those chapters, while preparing those chapters. All these attempts, all these efforts are only directed towards improving your score for the examination. So this is all we are doing so that your score, your performance in the examination improves for this particular paper. So you can watch the webinars also. You will get the schedule on the BoS Knowledge Portal shortly. It will be hosted. You will get the schedule there, that which all chapters will be discussed. And I would advise you to watch those webinars also, as well as the next session for Success at CA exam, where the exam oriented approach will be discussed, where the specific points related to examination, how to revise your entire syllabus before the examination day, then what are the points you need to keep in mind during the examination, how you can manage your time during the examination, then that 15 minutes reading time, and how can you write the answers. So we this way, this is just an example of how computational questions have to be presented. So we will see non-computational as well as the direct theory questions, how they have to be presented, and what is the wrong way of writing them, and what is the right way of writing them, because that will help you in differentiating that what mistake, or what where the problem actually exists. What was the area where you were actually committing the mistake, or you were not actually writing the answers up to the mark. That is why you were not getting the full score. Okay. So in case any of you have any query, you can ask. Just a minute. Sathya is asking, ma'am, in the overall question, how will the marks be awarded if any one of the additional information points are wrongly treated, due to which the total go wrong, because the other points are correctly treated? Um, you are asking this, Sathya, because you know that the stepwise marking is there. And this is what we have also suggested, that every step carries marks. So if one of these steps is wrong, the marks for that step will definitely go, and since your total will be wrong, so I think it is very obvious that you will lose marks for that particular step where you have gone wrong, and the total also, because somebody who has correctly find out the answer definitely deserves marks for both the correct final answer as well as the point where you have gone wrong and he was right. So every step carries marks, so this way you will not get a you will not completely lose the marks, but for that particular step as well as for the final answer which goes wrong because of that particular wrong treatment, those marks will be lost. So that is why we said that for every step you should write whatever you know in a particular question, whatever best you can present, the best manner in which you can present that answer is very important, because for that step if you have done everything correctly you will get the marks, and at least you will not lose you will not lose all the marks. So if anyone has any other query you may ask, or otherwise we'll end the session. So I think with this we can come to the end of the session, and thank for the patient listening. Thank you.